here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah on this August Monday afternoon. And as it is every single day, it is good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic, Porter Larson producing the show behind the glass today. We got a hot week ahead, temperatures in the mid and high 90s, but we are high speed ahead to fall. And we're nearly 2 weeks away from kickoff for Utah football as Utah welcomes in Idaho on September the 3rd for a 7 o'clock Mountain Time kick. And, of course, you can hear that game right here on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700. Porter will have pregame coverage for you beginning at 3 o'clock that day. The TV side of things will be ESPNU for Utah football to open up their season. Get you some sound from practice today. Morgan Scalley addressing the media. We'll bring that back around to you coming up in the 4 o'clock hour of the program today. We do have a AP preseason poll that we'll get into. And both Utah and BYU represented in that preseason poll. BYU will get its season going coming up against Utah Tech on Saturday the 5th. And they'll kind of get their season underway with a home game at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Utah State also in action on the 5th. So we are, for all intents and purposes, college football is here. Pro football right around the corner as well. A little bit of a different pro football schedule. The first game is actually on a Wednesday. They're going to expand the calendar a little bit in the world of the NFL. So we'll get you all the latest storylines in the world of college and pro football today. A dominant weekend for Scottie Scheffler in the middle of a historic 5-year stretch. He became the third youngest golfer to get to 21 PGA Tour wins. He did it at the age of 30. Jack Nicklaus did it at the age of 27, and Eldrick Tiger Woods had 21 wins prior to his 24th birthday, which is wild to think about. So FedEx St. Jude playoff continues. The FedEx playoff continues. We'll kind of talk a little golf on the show today, get you ready for the next leg of the playoffs. The top 50 golfers advance. Jordan Spieth just missed his opportunity to keep playing, but Scottie Scheffler with an 8-shot win over Sungjae Im. Sam Burns had a rough Sunday. Scottie finished at 17 under par in the FedEx St. Jude Championship. So unbelievable performance from him. Real Salt Lake cannot solve the Minnesota problem. They have not been able to beat that team in quite some time. A 1-1 draw in Sandy. RSL back in action with a midweek tilt in Dallas at 7:30 Mountain Time. Then they're going to take on Orlando coming up this weekend. So we'll do a little RSL on the program today and get you ready for the midweek clash against Dallas. RSL 8-4-6. They're now 7th in the entire league. I misspoke. That game is actually at home. RSL with another home game coming up on Wednesday. Go to rsl.com for single game ticket information and to check out their new Black Diamond kit, a really cool third kit. Zach Booth hurt over the weekend. Xavier Gozo lives in London. Justin Glad on the sidelines. This is an injured club that needs some reinforcements, as their head coach talked about after the 1-1 draw against Minnesota over the weekend. So all the latest with Real Salt Lake. Gordon Monson, Salt Lake Tribune, my old radio partner. We'll try to get Gordon on the show soon with a pretty scathing piece in the Trib about this Kalani Sitake, Brian Santiago situation that continues to dominate the news cycle, and not just here locally among college football fans, but people around the country kind of taking note of what's going on here with BYU. Adam Rittenberg with a piece today about Kalani Sitake and the dynamic that I found interesting. A lot of people around the country, we kind of get in our bubble here a little bit, which is understandable. Most people were shocked that Kalani did not take the Penn State job and decided to stay and coach at BYU. And now we're kind of understanding why maybe a lot of people were surprised because this story continues to really reverberate at the worst time of year as we are high-speed ahead to game day for BYU. So the latest in that direction. Most of the NBA storylines are pretty quiet, but the Lakers, Jeannie and the Busses, it sounded like a band name, the Buss family, led by Jeannie Buss, who had been the governor of the Lakers, have decided to sell the rest of the Lakers to the new owners. Mark Walter is in a lot of trouble He is now trying to sell his stake in Chelsea FC to repay some of these loans, these fraudulent loans that were siphoned through these insurance companies that he owns. And a lot of people wondering if the Dodgers are next. We've been waiting for the NBA to act on the Steve Ballmer LA Clippers investigation. And according to sources, the NBA says they have no evidence that Steve Ballmer funneled money to Kawhi Leonard via these sponsors. Doesn't smell right to me. This is an 11-month investigation into salary cap circumvention and the allegations with Aspiration, the now defunct green banking company at the center of the allegations. 3 other companies as well that had deals with the Clippers, and the NBA is saying, at least on the Ballmer side of things, there's no evidence. Now, Steve Ballmer is a very rich, powerful man who is good friends with Adam Silver. So a lot of people surmising that the fix might be in here. Again, been waiting for a long time for some sort of resolution to this deal. But as far as player personnel movement in the world of pro basketball, I'm not sure how much is really left on the table. The Jazz, as I continue to say, 15 players under contract. My guess is this is the team that they're going to go to the season with. Of course, things could change. All right, Dan Sorensen right out of the gates today, our buddy from Utah, to talk Utah football. Morgan Scalley was asked about the offensive line. The starting unit for the O-line. Is that coming along? That continues to be the question. Some shuffling maybe on the defensive line as well. So we'll bring in Dan today to talk some Utah football. Steele DeWalt, former pro golfer who won the Utah Mid-Am Championship. I had a chance to play with Steele in a tournament last year. He is an incredible talent. Went to Q school with a lot of the big golfers. Played in the United States AM tournament. And I really enjoyed playing with Steele, and he knows a lot of these golfers. So we're going to bring Steele in studio today. We'll kind of help him, or I should say he'll help us understand this historic run that Scotty Scheffler is on over the past 5 years with a dominant win over the weekend. Going to let you hear from Morgan Scalley today, who addressed the media. And then Lucas Engel, RSL center back, one of the new players, will join us on the program as well. So Dan Sorensen, Steele DeWalt, Morgan Scalley, Lucas Engel, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners on this Monday. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. And producing the program today is Porter Larson, who was up on the hill at Ute practice. Can you corroborate that the vibes were high today up on the hill?
Vibes have stayed high throughout fall camp.
That is awesome news.
But what does that look like in a couple weeks, Spencer? That's a big question. 17 days now from Utah football getting things going. I assume the vibes will be pretty good against Idaho and going forward for a little bit. But as Morgan Scalley will tell you, this is a program who, you just won't know until you see it on the field. And that's kind of where we're at. Now, still a few more questions to be answered in fall camp. Morgan will allude to those in the sound that you'll hear on the show a little bit later on today. But for the most part, man, I just feel like we're in, when once you board the plane and you get to sit down and then you just sit on the runway for like an hour, that's where we're at right now. Everything's ready to go. Engines are on, and we're just kind of hanging out. We're chilling.
You're not the guy for this because you would put your seat back. Even if we were waiting on the tarmac, you would put your seat back.
Well, to be clear, I probably wouldn't be on the plane. I have not been on a plane in, I think, a decade now, and don't plan to be anytime soon. But if I were, let's say, enticed or somehow, some way gathered the courage to get on a plane, I would put the seat back.
So do you have a genuine fear of flying?
I don't do it.
Oh, okay.
I've done it 4 or 5 times in my life, and it's each time like not fun.
Interesting. You've only been on a plane 4 or 5 times in your life.
Yeah.
How do you have the audacity to chime in on the debate about whether or not you should put your seat back?
That's enough times.
No, it's not enough times because there's nothing more annoying. Never put the seat back. It's irritating. It's irresponsible. We're living in a society here, Porter.
Well, and if I get on a plane 5 times in a lifetime, let me put the seat back. Relax, dude. I'm having a panic attack.
Wait, does this stem from something?
A little bit.
Let's process some trauma on the show today. Oh, by the way, I learned that there was an eclipse last week. Okay?
Not here, but yes.
Well, thank you. But the eclipse, just so you know, okay, because this is the deal. This is how we need to talk with this younger generation. The eclipse is to motivate you to look back on the last 18 years of your life, identify patterns, and then improve on the patterns for the upcoming 18 years.
Okay.
I took a yoga class this morning.
I like that.
That's what they talk about.
Where at?
Core power. So if you look back on the last 18 years of your life, what are the unhealthy patterns you'd like to improve upon?
Oh, man. Do we got all day?
Well, I'm trying to help you out with your fear of flying. I thought we could process some trauma, and I guess the eclipse is giving you that opportunity.
The plane thing is, first off, it was something I had as a child. I just didn't understand it, so getting on a plane was not great. But also some familial stuff. My mom's brother and my dad's brother both passed away in flight-related stuff.
Oh.
So there's like a direct connection as well.
Okay.
Although I was already scared of the planes.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's downright sad news. But at least you're being honest. Do you feel
we can process it?
Do you feel better now that you've released it into the atmosphere?
We can talk about it, but I'm probably not getting on any prop planes anytime soon.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's see. Dan Sorensen, our first guest for some Utah football on this Monday afternoon. But before Dan stops by, courtesy of our friends at IFA Country Stores, it's time now for your opening tip. Now, like any good coach, it's time to update the game plan for a healthy green lawn as the hot weather continues this month. Make sure you're using IFA Step 3 Spring and Summer Lawn Food for healthy turf that stays green every single season. IFA Step 3 Lawn Food, it is the ultimate lawn owner power move. All right, my friend Gordon Monson, my old radio partner, columnist for the Salt Lake Tribune, regular guest on this show, oftentimes will come in studio. I will tell you this. I know that Gordon can be a little bit of a polarizing figure. I don't know if he's as polarizing as Pat McAfee. Shout out Pat McAfee for that album he released, The Diary of a whatever that was. So I know that people have opinions about Gordon. Most of them are untrue and unfounded because he's actually a very decent, good man, very good husband and father, and always been really good to me. But you can say whatever you want about Gordon. One thing that is absolutely true is he is still, at this stage of his career, as plugged in as anybody. And when he decides to get in his bag and talk to people, certainly around BYU, Gordon and Kalani are very close. And Gordon has a lot of sourcing in and around BYU. So you can trust what he writes when it comes to these things. I know there's the whole Salt Lake Tribune is woke or whatever the hell that means. But I can promise you when Gordon Monson writes a piece about BYU specifically, he knows what he's talking about, and he's talking to people in the know. And I would just encourage you to go to sltrib.com, go to the sports section, and then read this piece. And again, Gordon doesn't write the headlines, but the headline is, "In the darkness BYU has created around Kalani Sitake, there is one beam of bright hope." And the one beam of bright hope that Gordon points to is, will this act as a rallying cry for the players in the locker room? Because we can get into this dynamic that has been framed, right or wrong, fair or unfair. It has been framed that it is Kalani Sitake versus Brian Santiago. Now, look, Utah, in a way, went through a similar thing not too long ago because of the rumors about Mark Harlan and Kyle Whittingham and what was that relationship like. The public records request that was fulfilled by Utah that revealed the email chain between Mark, Kyle's agent, and Kyle, I thought shed a lot of light on rumors that people heard about the relationship between Mark and Whit, right? It clearly was icy, to say the least, and I think it's fair to say it was icy for a long time, okay? Ultimately, a power struggle at the top between a football coach and an athletic director is not breaking news. It happens all the time. And more often than not, it happens behind the scenes in a way that we really don't hear about it while it's going on. Like everything else, you get the truth after the fact, right? Your friend gets divorced, and then you learn all the things about the relationship. The divorce happens between Whit and Mark in Utah, and Kyle coaches Michigan. And then you start to get the truth about what was actually going on behind the scenes. And if we're honest, there still isn't a ton of rock solid factual information about exactly what's going on here. But I thought Gordon, in his piece today, ultimately was able to shed some of the light as far as the rumors about what's going on down in Provo. First of all, this could not be worse timing. Now, the real question is, does this have any effect on the players in the locker room? Does it have any effect on the team? Because this is still a team, AP Top 25 comes out today, and both Utah and BYU are in it. BYU comes in at 14. That's only 2 slots behind Texas Tech. And there are still plenty of people, including Big 12 coaches, that believe BYU is going to win the Big 12 this year. And if they do, they go to the CFP. They have an opportunity to show the country that they can compete with the top teams in America. Now, the AP poll is the latest preseason piece of data and information that we have at our disposal that indicates most people do not believe the Big 12 has any team that can compete, certainly with the top 7, that continue to be the top 7 almost anywhere, which is kind of wild. And the top 7 for the AP goes like this: Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Indiana, Miami. Those are the 7 teams that anywhere you look, whether it's prediction markets, Vegas odds, preseason polls, that people believe the national champion is going to come out of those 7 teams. Does that mean it's going to happen? No. As I talk about all the time, preseason polls are just fodder for conversation and kind of quenches the thirst of college football fans before we have games to talk about. But BYU 14, Utah, by the way, comes in at 21, and I think that feels actually kind of right. Houston at 23, and then that essentially, those are your Big 12 teams. Houston at 23, Utah at 21, BYU at 14, Texas Tech at 12. 4 Big 12 teams in the top 25. We talked about Joel Klatt releasing his top 25 that did not have Utah in it. Do I think Utah should be a top 10, 12 team? No. 21 feels about right to me for the Utes, but the BYU portion of this continues to be like you're on the precipice of what potentially could be the most intriguing, successful BYU football season in a number of different years, depending on how you want to part and parcel WAC championships and, when you weren't playing P4 football, when you were independent. Like as a P4 team, as a Big 12 team, getting a ton of players back that could have left for potentially more lucrative deals, this could not be worse timing. And I'm not one to do radio where you got to blame one side or the other, but the messaging from BYU during this news cycle has been clunky at best. They've allowed it to kind of jump the shark a bit, and now it's in the public square. And like it or not, it has been framed as Kalani on one side and Brian Santiago on the other. And look, both of those two have always been very good to me and good to this show. We've interviewed both of them multiple times, and I'm not one to say, you should look to join one side or the other. I would tell you that if this is a fight that Brian Santiago wants, I feel like he's probably on the wrong side of it. I mean, Kalani has been the answer to who will be the next great BYU head coach. I think Bronco did a very fine, admirable job. But Kalani has taken this thing to new heights. He is beloved by his players. He's beloved by most people I know down there. How deep does this thing go? I mean, Gordon kind of pontificates on the possibility of this kind of seeping up to the folks who live up here in the church office building, who essentially do run BYU. It's not Shane Reese, C. Shane Reese, got to get the C in there. It's not Brian Santiago. And by most accounts, the folks that stepped up to make sure Kalani got what he needed to stay at BYU weren't just donors and boosters. They're people that run BYU, that live up here and work at the church office building. And so they're going to side with Kalani in this. And there were a lot of people that met the Brian Santiago hiring with a lot of skepticism. For whatever reason, I think a lot of people have their own personal dealings with him. As I said before, most people I know that were kind of in the mix here when it came to Tom Homo stepping down believe that Chad Lewis had been basically trained to take over that job. Chad, of course, A, is a great dude, and B, is a football guy that may understand just how important football is in a way that maybe Brian doesn't. And I have a hard time, by the way, believing that Brian doesn't, because the data is the data. The finances are the finances. You can love basketball all you want, and basketball is still a very viable business product in college sports, mostly because of March Madness, but it is dwarfed by the importance of having your football team get the support that it needs. So I would send you to sltrib.com. Gordon basically surmises that a lot of the promises that Kalani was given when he decided to say no to Penn State and yes to BYU simply have not been fulfilled. And that, of course, is what Kalani has alluded to, quite frankly, since Big 12 Media Day. And I don't know, man. Like, if I'm BYU, I got to get Brian Santiago and Kalani Sitake on the same page. Maybe have them sit down and hold a press conference. And even if things aren't great, try to corral this messaging, because you're 2 weeks away, essentially, from playing football. I mean, we're going to start launching into our game coverage just in a couple of weeks. And what you want is kind of what's going on with Utah, which is not a lot of news. You want the conversation during fall camp about, okay, how's the offensive line going to fill the void? Who's coming along as far as positional battles? You don't want this battle behind the scenes taking place between your head coach and your athletic director, and certainly a bad look for the school if you promise Kalani things you're not delivering him. Because what Kalani did is turn down like a generational opportunity. And yes, by all accounts, BYU paid Kalani to stay. But that Penn State job, man, I mean, it's a little bit like the Witt Michigan thing. Kyle Whittingham has a generational opportunity to go compete and maybe win national championships, which puts him on a different level as a college coach as opposed to winning some Pac-12 titles and going to Rose Bowls. Kalani turned down that opportunity. Matt Campbell jumped at it when he had a chance to go to Penn State. It's one of the best jobs in the country. And the reaction from a lot of people who don't live here was they were stunned that he didn't take the job. And maybe now we're seeing why. All right, we'll catch our first break of this Monday show. We're going to bring in Dan Sorensen from Ute Zone coming up next. I want to let you know you can help Utah kids start school with confidence this year. Over 200 kids of the road home need your help with back-to-school clothes, shoes, backpacks, and more. ESPN 700 invites you to be a child's advocate. Visit ESPN700sports.com or AppleTreeForKids.com for more information and to donate now. Dan Sorensen, Ute Zone, coming up next on ESPN 700. Going to let you hear from Morgan Scally a little bit later. Morgan addressed the media today, as he does every single Monday as Camp Scally rolls along. Reminder, all the sound from practice can be heard at ESPN700sports.com for the best coverage of Utah football and the best community of Utah football fans. You go to utezone.com, and it's time now for a little hashtag team fun. Dan Sorensen, Ute Zone on a Monday. What's up, Dan? How are you, man?
Living the dream, Spence. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate the time today. So as we are 17 days out, let's just start with, I'll ask you the biggest question mark still out there for Utah football 2.5 weeks away from game day.
Oh, it's still offensive and defensive line. Today, of course, and like you said, you'll have the audio up soon, but we met with Coach Scally. He did mention that they haven't quite finalized what the starters look like on that front. And I know they've had a couple of guys that have banged up that they're expecting big things from, that they're working on getting them back on the field so they can make some final decisions. But they're optimistic. They're positive about the developments that are there, but they're not ready to say that they've got the starting five locked in on that offensive line. I think they're pretty close. I think there's one or two small battles that are still playing out, and then defensive line, kind of the same thing, specifically the defensive tackle spots. Morgan mentioned that Kafusi was out for the weekend scrimmage, and so they're once they get him back, they'll be able to make a decision. But by and large, it still feels like, and it sounds like, they're pretty happy with the talent level that they've got there. They're pretty optimistic about what they've got on their hands and being able to get guys to gel, especially in the preseason. But it's getting down to brass tacks for them. They know that this week is critically important. They want that stuff settled by the end of the week so that they can start in on final game and season prep. Like you said, we're roughly 2 weeks out, and this team is ready to get out there and get after it. And it's exciting to see. I think that they're starting to hit that point of fall camp where they're starting to get a little bit sick of hitting each other, and they want to hit somebody in a different colored jersey.
I thought Sammy did a good job today of trying to kind of dig a little deeper with Morgan and the questions she asked about the positional battles kind of shaping up, and we will play that sound coming up. But here's my question for you. Do you think, even though he's not going to say it out loud, and I understand why, do you think he knows what the starting units look like up front, trenches, both sides of the ball?
I think he's got a pretty good idea of who the ones and the twos are. And on offensive line, look, you hear about the seniors, right? These guys that have been in the program for so long. Zeraway Williams at left tackle, so To'omo'ei at left guard, Al Harrison at center, Keith Olson at right guard. And I had a chance to talk to To'omo'ei today. We'll write a story on him in the next day or so. But he brought up a really good point. He said, one of the things that people aren't really thinking about when they're talking about the offensive line is, last year we were really, really good, and we had these amazing guys, and they deserved the accolades that they got. But remember that us four, we've been the twos for several years now. We know each other really well. We've played together really well. We were right behind those guys as starters. So a lot of the big concerns that you have when you're trying to get a new offensive line implemented is their ability to communicate, their ability to hand off pass rushers to one another, to adjust on the fly and hand out new assignments and work together. And so the fact that those four guys have been around for so long, those four guys are absolutely in the mix. I think that this line has a chance to be better than a lot of people think because of that. And I think that those four guys are definitely in the mix. We got a huge battle at right tackle with Ced Jefferson, who came over from Montana State, national champions on the FCS level, and he started every game. And then, of course, Ike Garcia, former four-star recruit that is finally healthy and has got he told me last week that this is the best that his body has ever felt. He's the heaviest he's ever been, but he's also got the best body fat percentage that he's ever had. So I think that between those guys and then Kelvin Obot, you've got, and maybe Reese Parmenter, you've got 8 guys that are really competing for those spots that they're feeling really good about. And if they're rolling out with 8, it's going to be pretty similar to the rotation that we saw last year, because they did bring Keith Olson and Toa Mo'iai and others off the bench, and they rolled 8 or 9 deep for most of that season. So I think they've got a great idea of what the offensive line looks like. I definitely think those 4 seniors are going to be part of that starting lineup. And the big question is going to be who's going to win that right tackle job. And frankly, how much can Kelvin Obot get on the field? And because even if he doesn't start, I think we're going to see plenty of him.
There was a scrimmage over the weekend. I know, the access continues to be a little bit limited, but maybe you heard some things, maybe you saw some things, but it's one thing to watch individual drills. It's another thing to watch a scrimmage, because then maybe we can start to learn about concepts. Kevin McGivern, what sort of offense are we in store for? Will it look like it did last year? Is Colton Swan just continuing what Morgan continued from Kyle, or are we going to see a little bit of a different wrinkle in that direction? Any intel or insight from the scrimmage over the weekend, Dan?
Yeah, hearing a lot of really good buzz. The receivers look good. Bird Thicklin looked good. I think that he got more work than Dampier did. Of course, we were able to be there for the first 20 minutes to observe in person, which basically let us watch the special teams work and a little bit of positional drill warm-ups, a little bit of red zone work. I can tell you firsthand that the kickers look really good. Dylan Curtis, 7 of 7, including, I think, a 53-yarder, and looked really, really solid. His backup, Cragen, he missed 1 kick, but also looking good. I think that they're going to have, from a special team standpoint, they haven't been exceptionally special the last few years, and that's something that Utah football fans really expect to be an identity of this program. It feels like the specialists are getting back to that level, which is awesome. In terms of offensive and defensive units, Coach Scally called out he was pretty happy with the performance that he got. He's happy with the wide receivers, hearing lots of great things about Pagan, not just in the scrimmage, but the last week of practice that he had. I think that the buzz that's going to lead up to the season for him is warranted. And there's some wrinkles. I heard some great things about Daniel Bray, explosive play to begin the scrimmage with a touchdown. So we know that there's a battle at running back, and Wayshawn Parker's that first guy, but he's not the only guy they're going to use, and Bray's getting in the mix. And there's a couple of others behind him. Coach Scally called out Mati Akihelu, so it's a name Utah fans should maybe keep on their radar, somebody that we wouldn't have necessarily on paper expected to come out and make a big statement early on in the season. There's a good chance that we see him getting some of those backup running back looks. So, yeah, and then, of course, Holtzclaw is another person that Coach Scally called out, and which is a good sign. Look, we know Utah has big shoes to fill when they're replacing the 2 edge rushers they lost from last year. So hearing that Holtzclaw is out there being disruptive, he's expected to be a leader on this defense. He knows the opportunity that's ahead of him. He clearly was putting in the work in the off-season conditioning program. His body looks good. He looks bigger than what we saw him last year. And for this Utah defense to be what Utah fans expect it to be, Holtzclaw is going to be really important in helping set that tone.
So when it comes to fall camp, really, and Morgan talks about this quite a bit, most coaches do, and, it's probably one of the reasons things like the spring game have been done away with. You just want to escape fall camp with your team intact. We've heard a lot about the offseason conditioning stuff. People are talking about players just looking bigger, more athletic. It's preseason, fall camp fodder. Most coaches and admins and players kind of say the same thing leading up to the season. But as a guy that covered, WIT spring and fall camps forever, and now you're covering Morgan Scalley spring and fall camps for the first time. Have you noticed any differences as it pertains to the approach, whether it's a workload or maybe giving guys a little bit more rest to make sure that we're entering the season with the roster as healthy as we can have it?
Yeah, and then Coach Scalley talks about it a lot. He has the last couple of times he's met with the media where he's got two consistent messages to his team. So number one is the importance of being physical and exerting physicality. And so they still want this football team to be tough. They still want opponents to be afraid to play Utah. Look, that's under Whittingham. That was the reputation, is you were done with Utah and you were beat up and bruised. And it was that way under Ron McBride and is that way under Urban Meyer, and Morgan Scalley wants to continue that. And so working on the physicality, working on competing and really pushing your teammate who's on the opposite side of the ball as you are really big points of emphasis. But he does talk about, we're still, it's competition. It's not conflict, right? And so it's still wanting to help each other get to the season and get them healthy. And he talks about it all the time. And so they do put in some rest and recovery. Now is the time in fall camp that you tend to see the bumps and bruises, the little tweaks and that sort of thing. And so with that, it's no different than any other than the fact that we haven't seen any major injuries, at least from what we're hearing. They've got a couple of guys that have missed a practice or two that they want to get back. And that's not strange. You're going to see that across the board with every football team. But I do think that they're much better prepared to weather the storm when it comes to injuries. I think that they're giving guys plenty of time to recover. The nutrition staff is top notch, and the things that they're doing. We talked to a running back that we won't name because he said it off the record, but he was talking about how everything that they've been doing when it comes to rest and recovery, strength and conditioning, nutrition, those types of things is professional level caliber. So they're really, and even little things like emphasizing how much sleep these guys are getting. And, it's yes, they're college students. Yes, they're young, but, this is a job. And so making sure that they're keeping themselves healthy, and sleep is so critical for that. So they're even getting down to that level of granularity, which is not really something you ever heard out of the Whittingham administration. So I think that the changes have been occurring. It sure feels like they're going to get to the season in better shape than we've seen maybe the last few years. And if that's the case, that's a good thing. And of course, they're especially protecting the guys like Dampier, who are going to be so critical and so important to their success on the season.
So Kyle made a lot of his leadership council and then the process that led to selecting captains. Is Morgan approaching the same way? And do we have any idea who's on the leadership council and who the captains will be this year?
Yeah, he was asked about that, I think, last week, and he said that they're not going to announce the captains and the full leadership council until they know who the starters are, which I think makes sense. There have been a few times over the years where maybe a quarterback has been named as a captain or to the leadership council, but didn't win the starting job. And I think that it's important. Look, it's great to have amazing locker room guys, and this is an amazing locker room that they've got. You're dealing with 105 athletes and their football players, and I'm still looking for the jerk. Like, who's the guy that's not cool, that treats the media with disdain? Haven't found him yet. So, it's like the poker table. Maybe the jerk is me because I can't identify him. But they're good dudes on this football team, and this culture thing that Scalley has emphasized over and over again it's real to a man. Everybody that I ask, I ask pointed questions, and usually off the record when the cameras and recorders aren't rolling, about how real is this? What does this look like? And these guys really are fighting for one another, and they're competing with one another, and they know that they've got a chance to be good if they don't screw things up. And so, and they also know that maybe they're not getting enough respect. Look, they were ranked 21st today in the preseason AP poll, and that's amazing. That says so much about what the world thinks of Utah football. And look, they've got a starting quarterback coming back that has a chance to be dynamic. And yes, they're replacing a lot of pieces and a legendary coach. And so there's reason for people to have doubts about this team. But this team, the way that they're coming together, the way that they're fighting for one another, the way that they're really living the culture. And look, it's not just the words "live, laugh, love" on the wall. It's stuff that they're taking to heart and that they're incorporating into their very identities. And if you can accomplish that as a coach and as a leader, few things are going to stop you. And so I'm really excited to see what it looks like on the field. But yeah, I'm seeing good things, hearing good things. There's a lot of belief in just in the program and with the guys. There's a lot of belief in what they've got coming up, what they're capable of doing, and what that's going to look like moving forward. And I think that Utah fans are going to be really happy with what they see with the results. Yes, Kyle Whittingham is a legend. Replacing him is going to be a tough challenge for Scally, but I think he's up to the task. I think that he's doing and saying the right things. If they show up on the field on Saturdays, it's going to be a really good football team.
The other thing that I've kind of enjoyed with this stretch here is, it felt like for a while, camp came with some sort of underlying dramatic storyline. The health of Cameron Rising. Who is going to be the quarterback? Is this it for Witt? It feels like a pretty drama-free building right now. I'm not in there. I don't know. But, this Kalani thing down in Provo for BYU, it could not – if you're going to have beef with your athletic director, you should have it in April, okay? It's mid-August. Games are about to be played, and I can't speak to exactly what's going on down there, but that's a storyline that's now permeated nationally because so many people were stunned that Kalani didn't take Penn State because it's Penn State. And, Dan, from my vantage point, it doesn't seem to be a fall camp for Utah football that has any dramatic emotional storylines. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the biggest drama that we're seeing is what percentage of snaps is Bert Thicklin going to take? That's a good problem to have. And yeah, I completely agree with you. This is a very workmanlike, down to business, get things done kind of atmosphere there, and there's not a lot of drama. Yes, there's a lot of position battles, and there are going to be some good stories that come out. Look, we talked about the offensive line and those four guys playing together. If they come out and play to their potential and they play even above that, slightly above average for a Big 12 offensive line, I mean, it's going to be a great story about these guys waiting in the wings and making opportunities for themselves. And you want those types of great stories. You want the stuff that they're going to make Disney movies about, not the, I'm fighting with my athletic director and he's not allowed in the building. And that's interesting because he's your boss kind of stuff. And I can't speak knowledgeably about what's really happening at BYU and with Kalani, but it's definitely not, to your point, it's not a good time to have that. And it's really funny that the other thing about the whole drama thing and the attitude is the other thing that I'm not seeing a lot of overconfident swagger. I talked to a senior today and he told me, and I asked him that same question, what's happening? How good is this team? And he said, look, I think we're going to be really good, but I don't want to get ahead of myself because, a couple of years ago, first year in the Big 12, we were supposed to come out and rule everything, and we beat Oklahoma State, and we thought we were going to just roll through this conference, and we lost 7 games straight. So he's like, I'm taking it one game at a time, and no way am I going to, talk noise about how good we can be. And this is a guy I expect to be a starter. And so if that's the attitude that, hey, we've got to go out there and we've got to prove it, and that's the drama that you have, that's exactly what you want. And that kind of focus can only help the team.
So Morgan talked about what he's characterizing as the dog days of fall camp, and look, it continues to be super hot. We are in August; it's still very much summer. But have you noticed any fatigue or lack of energy as it pertains to what you saw day one and what we're seeing now as Morgan's talking about the dog days?
Yeah, not quite yet. I do think that there is like a tangible thing. You feel kind of the heaviness, and I think it's starting to set on, but not. Like a week from today is really when you're going to see like these guys just like, man, just give me that Idaho Vandals yellow and let me pummel it into the ground, or Arkansas Razorback red. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. Guys are you see on occasion some guys just kind of coming off the field and they're beat. And look, to your point, it's 100-degree plus. They're in pads. They're in the sun. They're working hard. But usually when you see a guy that's coming off the field and maybe his shoulders are sinking a little bit, it's usually because they either ran him through especially nasty post-practice conditioning or he got chewed on a bit, and so he's got some steam to blow off. It's that kind of thing. But I'm not really seeing guys lose the spring in their step just yet. And there are some guys that, look, Devin Dampier comes out and he's same as he ever was, right? He's out there. He's having fun. He likes talking to the media. He just seems like a genuine good dude that you'd want to hang out with. And like guys like, they're still bouncing. They still got their energy. Wayshawn Parker, Zeraway Williams, and there's a lot of characters on this team. Those three in particular, and those guys are still. They've got their bounce. They're out there. They're motivating. They're yelling. They're leading. They're still catcalling their teammates that are doing the media interviews when it's not their turn, which is something that's. Look, I've done this for more than 20 years, and it's been the one constant of 20-plus years of Utah football is if I've got a camera or microphone in a player's face, you guarantee that his teammates are, teasing him and catcalling him and trying to get him to laugh or break on camera, and you're still seeing some of that too. So we're not in the dragging days yet. They're going to come, and they may come sooner once the depth charts are established. And some guys know that they're going to be more of a support role than a starter role like they were gunning for. But, it's all part of the process. It happens every year. It's fascinating for me to watch. And it's really funny for me that, 20 years later, the fall camp is still, even with the new advances in strength and conditioning and the different ways that coaches handle the media and all that, fall camp is still fall camp. There's no two-a-days, there's no bloody Tuesdays right now, but it's still fall camp. They're still putting the work in.
All right, Dan, before I set you loose, here's how I'll frame the question. Again, a couple weeks out from a game. Utah is in the mix to win a Big 12 championship if what?
If the interior run defense plays to the Utah standard and Devin Dampier is as special as I think he's going to be. Those two things. I think that if they solve the things that we saw on film at the end of the year with the run D, I think this pass D is going to be really dang good. It's going to surprise some people how good the Utah corners are. I'm shocked at how little we hear in terms of feedback about the corners. There's usually something that Sharif Shah is consistently unhappy and with his guys or not unhappy, but dissatisfied with the level that they want. He wants everybody to be Clark Phillips and even Clark he wanted more from. So we're not hearing as much of that. I think it's going to be a great secondary. So if they can fix that run D and Dev is as electric and dynamic now that he's finally healthy as we think he can be, this team is going to win a lot of football games.
Dan, where can people go find the good work over at Ute Zone?
utezone.com. Look, we've had this like 75% off an annual subscription. We're getting so much pickup from it. We've extended it at least another week. So if people have been on the fence, you get a whole year for $30. Like that's, it's less than a swig soda a month. So come join us. We talk about hashtag Team Fun. It's absolutely that way. The community's awesome. We're going to do some great things. I can't wait for the first tailgate against Idaho. I just had a 500 hashtag Team Fun shot glasses made that I'm just going to hand out to people. So come find me if you're at the Utah games. Like we are all about enhancing every Utah fan's experience, whether it's information or community or finding a friend or just having stupid inside jokes like calling Keith Olson Super Keith. It's the place to go.
Dan Sorensen coming for your swig soda budget. Love it. All right, buddy. I appreciate the time. Have an excellent week, and we'll chat soon, okay?
Love it. Thanks for the opportunity, and can't wait to talk again.
There you go. Dan Sorensen. Go to utezone.com for the best coverage of Utah football and a good community of Utah football fans. And what do you know? It's time to start thinking about football, and we're only a few weeks away from the best time of the year. Now's the time to prep your field. Make sure you're using IFA Step 3 for the weeks ahead when the weather is still hot. But as the dog days of summer give way to fall, it's time to start thinking about Step 4, our fall and winter lawn fertilizer. Either way, you can find out more by visiting ifa.coop online. All right, 1 hour down, 3 hours to go. Steele DeWalt is going to join me live in the studio. Scotty Scheffler, dominant weekend. Going to do a little golf coming up right here on ESPN 700. All right, I want to remind you that if you're looking for Utah football sound, Morgan Scally is coming your way in just a little bit. You can go to ESPN700sports.com if you'd like to check that out. But we have a very special guest live in studio. I had the opportunity of embarrassing myself in front of him last year because my guy Easton Folster, the executive director of the UGA, whenever we have a media tournament, for some reason he puts me with the ringer. And Steele DeWalt is live in studio. Former pro golfer. Is that an accurate way to phrase where you're at these days?
Very much so. Yes, very much former.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in, man. How you doing?
I've been great. We just got back from Philly, from the USAM, and maybe a little bit of jet lag, but all good.
So let's start there. I mean, how was your experience? You played in the biggest amateur tournament in the country. Is this the first time you played in this tournament?
Yeah, it actually was. So I've tried the last couple of years, gotten to sectionals, and was unable to get through. But then I was, I was pro from, I don't know, maybe 21 to, I stopped playing like full time when I was like 30, 31, but I didn't get my AM status back until a few years ago. So yeah, I tried a few times before I turned pro, never made it, and, finally made one. And it was a good one to make.
Yeah, it was. And we'll kind of get to your pathway in just a little bit, but tell us about your experience. I mean, that golf course looks like it's an amazing track.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the hard holes are some of the hardest holes I think I've ever seen. It gives you something in the middle. I think how they describe it is like the first 6 holes are the drama, the next 6 holes are the comedy, and the last 6 holes are the tragedy. I think that's what it is, and it truly is. I mean, those finishing holes are just absolutely monsters, and you're seeing it in some of these matches. Like bogeys are winning 18. If these matches are going to 18, like bogeys are winning. I even saw, a double. A guy was 1 up going to 18, doubled and tied and won.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I've wanted to have you in studio ever since we played together because I found your background just so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get to know you a little bit because you came up as a skier, right? Like that was your deal. When did you catch the golf bug? Like when did you know that you wanted to do this and be as good at it as you possibly can?
Dude, I actually remember the day. I had just finished up skiing. Ski racing was my life. Like, that was everything. Went to the winter sports school. I was on the path for, whether or not I would have made it, whatever. But, trying to get to the Olympics, all this. And I remember I got off the hill one day. I was like 10. Yeah, I was 10. And I just had my mom just take me to the Muni. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I was just like, just take me to Muni. And I went there and I played 9 and I think that summer I ended up playing like 36 holes a day. I was just absolutely obsessed with golf.
So we're talking,
you know how it is.
Yeah, like, we're talking PC Muni, right?
PC Muni.
I love that track.
Great track.
Yeah. Andy Phillips wants me to let you know that he's a better skier than you are. Just so you know.
I can't even deny that.
Okay.
That guy's a legend.
Automatic Andy. Love that guy.
We'll settle it on the golf course, though. We'll hang out there.
And that's always your ace in the hole.
Yeah.
So your love of golf, throughout the course of your, did you play in high school? Because you went to the winter high school, right? The winter sports high school.
Yeah, winter sports school.
Winter sports school. Did they have a golf team?
No. So I wouldn't
think so. Yeah.
I would play for Park City High.
Okay.
I stopped skiing when I was like sophomore year, and then I just started going to Arizona in the winters.
Okay.
Instead of hanging around Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start to get the idea, I'm pretty good at this? Like, when did you realize that you could do something pretty fun with it?
Well, luckily I grew up in a small town, so I thought I was good. So that gave me enough motivation to keep trying to get better.
Yeah.
I think so. I got out of high school. I actually took 2 years off. I mean, I look back and like, you talk about like psycho motivation. Like I was 16 years old, 17 years old. I graduated early because of winter school. Mm-hmm. I graduated like maybe a month into my 17th birthday. Mm-hmm. and I was living alone in Arizona. My parents just sent me down there.
At the age of 17?
Yeah.
Okay.
16, 17, 18. I was just living on my own in Arizona.
Wow.
And, I mean, I didn't think of anything but golf. No parties or girls. No, I mean, I had the same regimen every day. It was like, wake up, I'd do yoga, I'd practice for 9 or 10 hours. I'd be in the gym till 1 a.m. Like, I was obsessed.
Yeah, so you were crazy about it.
I was crazy.
Yeah.
And like Ty Tryon at the time, I don't know if you remember that name.
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah. He had just gotten through Q school at 17 years old. Like,
yeah.
I was like, dude, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I had to work hard because I wasn't that good, to be honest. I was good at a state level. I wasn't good nationally.
Sure.
I started playing pro tournaments to like try to build up a record instead of playing AM tournaments. Just in Scottsdale, a place called the Gateway Tour. And then I ended up getting into ASU for golf somehow.
So what was that path? How did you land at ASU?
Well, I was going to go to USC, and then a couple of friends of mine, like family friends, sat me down. They were big boosters at ASU, and they said, we'd really like you to go here. Mm-hmm. And I think all in all, I'm glad I made that choice.
Yeah.
ASU was an incredible school for golf.
It's a really good golf program, right?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it is probably somewhat entertaining when you're not playing golf as well. The social dynamic of that campus is pretty legendary.
They have a great chess club there. Like, there's a lot you can get into at ASU. It's whatever you want, buddy.
So life, it was good to be steel to wall at ASU, is what you're saying.
It was all right.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I had like very little perspective, and I thought I was the man. And and so I don't think I appreciate it like I should have, as such as life. But it was a good experience.
I asked you this when we played together at the Media Am prior to the tournament up in Logan, I think it was, or was it? Yeah, Logan. Yeah. Because like you, I grew up in a small town, and when you're a bigger fish in a small town, you think you're a lot better than you are.
Yeah.
So I thought I was a really good basketball player until I went to 5-star basketball camp and saw Rasheed Wallace and Jerry Stackhouse, and I went head-to-head with a guy named Shamgod Wells. He's now God Shamgod. He was an NBA player. And I came home from the camp depressed. I'm like, I'm not playing in the NBA. I have zero chance. And when you're 16, you just think, you're taught to dream big and you can do whatever you want to do. And, when you're a white guy that's under 6 feet tall, average athleticism, you're not playing pro basketball. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have a moment when you were playing against one of the really, really good players where you're like, I don't know that I can ever be like that?
No.
Love it.
So
I love the confidence.
Here's like, it was good and bad in the sense that like on paper, like my ceiling was crazy high.
Okay.
Like in college, with that equipment, that was, 20 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I was hitting mid 190 ball speeds.
Okay. It's massive.
The longest, if not the second longest player in college.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I like play with guys now that I haven't seen since college. Like I've run into them at some of these member guests, and they're like, dude, God, I just remember. And I'm like, no, now he's going to go play with me. He's going to be like, what the hell happened to this guy? Like, because I certainly am not hitting those ball speeds now.
Yeah.
So like on paper, like I had a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. One of my big struggles was huge ego. And also like my identity became tied into like, Tiger was like, that was our idol, right? Like I was part of that generation, and we all wanted to hit the hero shot.
Yeah.
Like, and so I learned every shot, high cuts, low cuts. I could hit anything. And so in tournaments, my identity was like very wrapped up into that. And on top of like being an adrenaline junkie because of ski racing, like you have to love adrenaline in ski racing if you're going to be any good. Dude, I would try to hit the hero shot. I mean, it was almost a guarantee. Like every 2 or 3 weeks in college, I would make an 11. Like I'd be trying to do stuff that just, I would do it all the time. So I wasn't a good player.
Yeah.
But like to your point, like my ceiling was high, and on paper I looked good.
Yeah. So then it took you through the process of getting your card, right? You did go through Q school, correct?
Yeah, like 7 times.
Seven times
before I got like status.
Tell me about that process.
Like, tour status.
What's that process like?
Look, it took me a while to learn how to play golf. Like, I thought golf was like golf swing.
Yeah.
Like, I would film my swing like every other swing on the range. Like, it just took me a long time to like sift through, like, how do you actually play this game? And like, what does it consist of to play at a high level at a pro level?
Yeah.
So it took, I didn't get status until I was like 29-ish, something like that. And it took a lot of failing. Like, it took me a long time to figure out, like, how do I get through Q school?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even get through I could get through like pre-qual, which wasn't even hard when it first came out. Now it's much harder, but I just couldn't get through like first stage. It just took a long time to figure it out.
So ultimately, how I'm asking you dumb questions because I don't even know the process.
No, you're good.
How do you what's the qualification process? How do you actually get status? What does that entail?
So it's a 4-stage qualifying process, and it's you basically have to finish in the top 20 to keep moving on.
Okay.
At every site, and there's like anywhere from 70 to 90 guys at each site.
Mm-hmm.
And you put up $5,000, which, in that life is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you just give it a go. And if you make it to second stage and you miss, like, you're out $10,000 with travel expenses and your entry fee.
Yeah.
So it's a tough process.
So did you, during the 7 attempts, was there, because I find your admission about ego really admirable.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty fascinating. Did the ego take a little bit of a hit when you were going through this process? Was there ever a moment where you're like, maybe this isn't for me?
Yeah. And I think in my like mid-20s, I started to have like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Okay.
Like almost using some of these other things as like, I'm not fully in, but if I was in, I'd be good. But I'm not fully in, like kind of like an excuse to some extent. But I got beat up pretty good. Just humbled. Like, golf does that to everybody.
Yeah.
I think because of what we talked about, like my ceiling looked so high, like it was a little tougher than like if I was out there just like bunting it around and like, just, but eventually I came to terms with that. And I just said, look, if I'm going to do like, I got to figure out how to get good.
Right.
Like I'm just blowing money out here.
Yeah.
And so I had to sit down and try to figure it out.
Did you have a coach that helped you? What were the things that, when you say I had to figure it out?
Yeah.
And I've played enough now to understand kind of delicately what you're alluding to. But as a pro, what was the process that you went through? Was there a coach? How did you ultimately figure it out? So
how I figured it out was, a guy named Mike Malaska taught me the game, taught me a lot about the golf swing. And I really owe a lot to him.
He's a legend, isn't he?
Yeah, he has just an incredible mind for golf.
Uh-huh.
And Mike was always great, but Mike was a little tougher to get a hold of. And so when I was playing on the Canadian tour, I think I was 25 years old. He started to become like, it was just hard to get a hold of him. And when you reliant so heavily on a golf coach, like it feels suffocating when you like have problems and you can't get a hold of them, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I started to learn how to like self-teach. Like I just started to I just studied the game, studied all different swings. I swung all different ways, and I played bad for a while doing that. But eventually I figured out like, okay, here's what I can do consistently, and here's my ball flight, and like I can like somehow make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing. I started to just learn how to self-correct. I started to learn statistics through a guy named Howard Twitty.
Okay.
Howard played on tour for like 20 years. He made his living on wedges and putting.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me a lot about statistics, which, when we were coming up, like we didn't have access to all the data that these kids have now.
Mm-hmm.
Like dispersion patterns from 160 and 170 and 180 with shot link and all this stuff. Like it just wasn't as accessible. And so I didn't know, like it was eye opening to me when I talked to this guy, Scott Simpson. I think his name's Scott Simpson. He led the tour in greens and regulation for 2 years.
Okay.
I asked him, I'm like, if you got like 175 in and you got a 7-iron, like, what do you think is a good shot? Like, how far are you? And I would have said like 10 feet for the best ball striker on tour, right? I would have been like, oh, it's probably a good shot. And he said 25 feet.
Huh.
And that was eye-opening for one. And so as you start to learn statistics, then you can start to make better decisions because you know what the actual dispersion is from different yardages.
Okay.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like, amateurs, I am an amateur now, so I'll include myself in this. But, it's like a guy chips it to 7 feet and misses the 7-footer, and he's saying he's a bad putter. The problem was actually the chip.
Okay.
The odds of you making a 7 and 8-footer, on tour level is like 45, 50% at best.
Yeah.
And for an amateur, like a 10 handicap or whatever, you're probably in the 30s.
Yeah.
Right.
If that, yeah.
So like knowing that though, you then know how to work on it and like what to work on.
Right.
And stop blaming things that really aren't the problem.
Okay.
And I would say the last thing I did is I changed my philosophy on the game quite a bit mentally. I started studying Buddhist philosophy a lot, and that really changed the way I approach the game significantly.
Okay. That's fascinating. I'd like to know a little bit more about that, because didn't you go overseas for a while? And
yeah, I still do. I've probably been to India. I go to a little retreat in India. It's an interesting place. It borders Tibet, so like all these Tibetan monks have moved there because the Dalai Lama lives there, and these monks put on these like little retreats where they just teach Buddhist psychology. Mm-hmm. These are like silent 10-day retreats. Okay. And you just kind of learn about psychology, their take on, psychology and how to deal with the mind, and then you there's like 30 or 40 hours of meditation during that time as well. So I started doing that, and that had a significant impact on my game. I would say that's probably the biggest impact on my game.
If you could, and this is a tough thing to reduce because probably how much it permeates throughout your entire life. Mm-hmm. But if you could be reductive to like a couple of different things that helped, your mindset as it pertains to either golf or life, what would you say? Yeah,
no, it's actually, so here was the difference for me. Like in basic sports psychology, it was like act like you're the best, talk like you're the best, walk like you're the best, like just fake it till you make it, right? And I remember before Q schools, like visualizing myself, winning and holding up whatever, over and over, and like repeating, like writing on paper for like an hour, like I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. I would do that. And then I'd go out and I make a double on the first one. I'd be like, if I'm the best, why the hell did I just make a double? I mean, that was my initial reaction.
Sure, yeah,
I vividly remember like that very moment.
Yeah.
And then I started learning about, Buddhist philosophy, and obviously they're not talking about sports, but I would say the basic premise was like, hey, you're going to get old, you're going to die, you're going to lose loved ones, things are going to change. Yeah. Like there's nothing you can do about these things. Yeah. So like develop an outlook and a perspective that helps you deal with them. Mm-hmm. And if you translate that to golf or any sport or anything, it's like, hey, I'm going to get bad breaks. Like I'm going to miss putts, like whatever. All these things are going to happen. Yeah. I'm going to play with people I don't like. Yep. So let's just acknowledge that that's going to happen, and let's prepare to deal with it. Yeah. And emotions play such a significant role in our decision making. And golf is so much like, I don't know if you play much blackjack, but you got to play. Oh,
we can talk blackjack. If you want.
Yeah. You want to play by the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you the best odds of winning over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And when you get emotional, sometimes you just start doubling down when you shouldn't. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way in golf. Like you understand the statistics. Now you've got to manage your emotions so that you can consistently make good decisions. Yeah. Yeah. And if your emotions are all over the place, then it's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that resonates a lot because as I've played more, and I certainly would never be at the level that you're at, golf there are a lot of like life practical applications
So much
to the game. You know what I mean? And I think the biggest one is what you're talking about. So many things happen. Like Scotty hits a beautiful chip over the weekend, hits a sprinkler head and goes in the water. Like so many things happen in this game that you can't control. It's the very same practical application that life entails,
I mean, I feel like you face a lifetime in every round to some extent. Like, you ever try to explain a round to somebody and you're just like, oh, where do I even start? Like, it was so good here. It was terrible there. I was like excited here. I'm depressed here. Like it's all over the place. And it's constantly holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
It's like what's really going on in your own world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you get your card. You go through Q school. You actually get the card. What comes next? What happened after that?
So I got conditional status, and I played in a few web events. Some I qualified for, some I got into. It was like right when they were making a change to the tour and how it was structured, and so I like my conditional status would have got me into like 7 events the year before, and I got into like 2.
Okay.
So I qualified for some, and through Mondays, played on the Canadian tour when I wasn't playing on the web, and I didn't play great by any means. Like I was, I had a couple of decent finishes, but coming to the end of the year, lost my status. And, I had to make a decision on like what I was going to do because my mom got sick and, she and my dad need some help. So I moved home and I helped out when you're in Park City in the winter, there's no golf. So,
right. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to catch a break. Cool. Coming up next, Steele DeWalt, Love in the Wild. Are we allowed to talk about it?
Why not?
Okay.
It's just a huge part of history.
Okay, there you go. Steele DeWalt is live in studio, a local golfing legend. Speaking of golf, Stansbury Park Golf Course right now. If you haven't played it, check it out this week because here's the deal. It's only $45 on weekdays and $50 on weekends. It's right off I-80, very easy to get to. So go check it out. And then while you're there, you can take a little tour of Tooele County, stansburypark.gov/golf course. That's stansburypark.gov/golf course, sponsored by Tooele County. More with Steele coming up next on ESPN 700. All right, Steele DeWald is with us live in studio, local golf legend. And I know you're laughing at that, but I'll tell you, don't take this the wrong way. I did not know who you were before we played.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But when we were playing, I don't know that this even registered with you. So for our listeners, Steele went through Q school, played his college golf at ASU, Park City kid who was a ski racer back in the day. But when we played that event together, the media day before you were competing, all the other competitors, they look at you in a different way. Like these young kids really, really do look up to you. I mean, I saw one like, oh, and there was like, that's Steele DeWald over there. Like these young kids do kind of look up to you a little bit.
It's probably because I got gray hair now, and they're like, "What's that dude doing?"
No,
here?
I mean you're a local kid that actually went and got status on tour. They're not the only handful of you guys.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just older now.
Well, we all are. That's how it works. All right, I've got to ask you. So after we played, first of all, you were very nice to me, which I appreciated because I'm just this weekend hack. I'm a 7.3 index, and you're a pro, and I'm like fascinated watching you. There was one par 4, drivable par 4 that was like 380 or something, and you didn't even hesitate. You stepped up, pulled out your driver, you put it on the green, and I thought it was like amazing to watch up close. But then I get home, I'm like, let's see what Steele's deal is, okay? Let's see what my guy Steele, like what his path is. And I'm reading about you, and Love in the Wild pops up.
Oh yeah,
a reality television show. Yeah. So at what point?
My finest moment.
At what point in your life did this kind of become? How did this all come about? Because this is what you're trying to qualify, right?
Yeah. So this is kind of in that section where I'm like, I'm kind of half in, half out in golf. So I remember like it was yesterday. I just played a mini tour event in Scottsdale, and I was out afterwards with a couple buddies at a bar. And these girls come up to me, and we're kind of just chatting, and it was. I thought it was going pretty good. My game I felt like was good that
You're doing
night.
all right.
And,
there you go. Okay.
Better than my golf game at the time, and then all of a sudden it gets like pretty serious after like 5 minutes. They start going like, "Hey, so how do you feel about kids?"
Wow.
And I'm like, "Wow, okay."
And you're 24 at this point.
Yeah, I think I was 23,
okay.
maybe 24. I can't remember. How do you feel about kids? Well, that's heavy. And then it was like, well, what do you think about marriage and like long term? Like, so I got really serious questions going, and I'm like, what is going on? So I started asking them like, where are we going with this?
Yeah. And
they're like, well, we're casting for a show that's coming out next year on NBC. And okay. We'd be curious if you'd like to come, interview.
Okay.
So anyways, I'm like, sure. Like, I don't care. I thought it was hilarious. I had no desire to be on TV, in that capacity. Yeah. And they tell me to like go to this room in this hotel, the next day or whatever. So I go, and honestly, this hotel is like a maze. It's got rooms everywhere. You got to go through down these different corridors. It's not like a standard hotel. And I'm like, I might be getting like robbed here. Like this might be a setup. Yeah. Like it really felt like that. Finally get to the room, and sure enough, it's real. And I mean, I was just like, I did not take it seriously at all. And they ask you questions like, what do you do when you get really mad? Because they want guys, they want. Yeah. And I'm like, well, sometimes I'll just like punch the air so hard. And I was just like making fun of the whole thing. Yeah. And so I left, and that was, it was like an hour, and I left, and I forgot about it. And a month later, I get a call back, and they want me to go to LA for the finals. Like, that's fine. It's a trip to LA. I'll take a free trip to LA. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And that process was wild. They give you like 1,000 question psych test that takes 3 hours, and you ask somebody if their stomach hurts 20 times, your stomach starts to hurt, and it's just a crazy thing.
Okay.
Crazy process.
And then ultimately, they sign you. They're like, all right, we want you to be on this show.
Yeah.
Which season were you on?
The first season. There were only 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got 1.
So you were in Costa Rica.
Not to be confused with like Love Island, which is now crushing it.
Right. So you went to Costa Rica for your season.
Yeah.
And what was the what was the ethos of the show? What was like the format? Well, is the
so
goal
you
to
were-
find someone to like marry?
Yeah, and the show was incredible at doing that, by the way. Only 2 seasons, and there's 4 couples that are still married.
That's a high success rate.
High success.
Yeah.
You look at The Bachelor, I don't know what the numbers are exactly now,
yeah.
but it's like 4 couples in like 50 seasons.
Yeah. Okay.
So the concept was good at bringing people together. So yeah, you go, you're 10 girls, 10 guys, you get paired up, and it starts with like girls picking guys for partners.
Okay.
And then you go off and you do these really cool like challenges in the jungle, that take 4, 5, 6 hours. And then afterwards, depending on where you finish, like if you finish at the top, then you're safe. And if you finish at the bottom, then somebody below you has to pick you to keep going.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was horrible in the jungle. I had 0 skills. I mean,
That surprises me as a former ski racer and an athlete. I figured you'd be good at that.
I just know how to go through gates. Like, I don't know how to do anything else. So I just really just laid an egg on the challenge part.
Okay.
I mean, it was bad. And it became like, it got to a point where the commercials, like NBC commercials, like it was all like the Steele curse. Like if you get with Steele, like you're going home and he's going on with somebody else.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was like, just show me doing all these, like screwing up here, screwing up there. And yeah, it was like the Steele curse,
I got to go look this up.
Oh, it's funny.
Is there one spectacular challenge fail that stands out to you?
I mean, there's 2 epic fails.
Let's hear them.
Epic fails. We're in the lead on this one challenge, and we go to this thing called Snake Island, which is legit. Like it's an island full of snakes in Costa Rica. It's kind of messed up. We're out there, you get this thing, and then you got to run back and jump into a canoe and then canoe back. So we canoe there, we canoe back. And I jump into the canoe, and I just totally capsize this thing. I mean, I am so like, I have no idea what I'm doing about when it comes to getting into a canoe. I don't think I'd ever been in a canoe at that point. And so I capsize us, and we just plummet to the bottom.
Okay.
And this poor girl I'm with is just trying so hard to get it together. That was one. I'd say that's the biggest fail.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which who were you partnered with? One girl most of the time, or
No, I had girls every episode. I was with somebody different because I kept doing so poorly. So I just kept getting picked for some reason. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to go home.
Did you? I have the list in front of me.
Okay.
Okay. We got Samantha, we've got Heather, we've got Teresa, we've got Brandy,
So funny.
Erica, Jessica, 2 Jessicas,
Yeah.
a Kim, a Vanessa, and a Dawn.
Okay.
Of the list of potential partners, was there 1 or 2 that you actually thought maybe I could make something work with this?
Yeah, I think so.
Hope
I
your
think
wife
so.
is listening.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, getting through this with the wife that was a whole other thing.
I bet.
But yeah, dude, I thought they were all kind of, I don't know. I was just there. I was trying to get through this thing.
Mhm.
All these girls, like Kim was cool. Erica was cool. It was the last girl. But you don't really know how people are until you get them off the show.
Sure.
Like I met some people off the show that were on the show, and they were very different.
So there's a lot of acting, even though it's
Oh
quote
my
unquote
God.
reality television.
And ours was not that forced. Like how I went off the show was actually very much forced by the producers, which was, but that was like the only moment where it was like they were forcing you to do something.
Well, I've got to hear that story.
It's a pretty good story, actually.
Let's hear it.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I finally did good in a challenge. We took second, and I'm with this Erica girl, and we're going to the elimination ceremony, and I'm like, this is great. Like I'm gonna go on. Like I'm almost to the end of the show. That was the 6th episode, and and a producer comes up and say, hey, the executive producer wants to talk to you. And so I go, we're staying in this like resort, and there's all these bungalows like deep in the jungle, and some are like really far off. And sure enough, they're in like one that's like deep and it's like dark, and I find it, and I'm walking in, and I just see like a little cigarette butt light in the dark. Like,
Gosh.
like, yes, come on in, Steele. Okay. Well, so there was another girl that was getting like, basically, long story short, she was like getting verbal, like mentally abused by this guy.
Oh dear.
And they wanted to like have a savior for her.
Okay.
Like somebody that would like pick her and like keep going.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Which I had never even really talked to this girl. Like we had nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, basically we want you to do this. And if you don't do this, we have you on camera saying this, this, and this. And we're going to make you look like this.
Wow. That is devious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just got all up in there. So eventually I just caved to it and because my one thing is like, yeah, anyways, I did not want to come across as like, I was like determined not to talk shit on anybody.
Yeah.
Like, which I didn't.
You just want to come across as a good guy.
I didn't want to start anything. And
Sure,
like at
yeah.
one point I really disliked this one dude and it kind of slipped out that I kind of felt that way and I didn't give him anything. They were really pissed about that, but so anyways, when they said this, I was like, fine, whatever, I'll take her. But so I go straight to this ceremony. I don't have any time to talk to this girl that I just won with, and she has no clue what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And out of nowhere, I just like leave her, and I go to pick this girl, and this girl's like, no, like, I don't even know you. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
So they weren't in on it.
No, I was the only one that knew what was going on.
That's messed up.
It is, yeah. But I was trying to like signal, like, it's okay, like we'll switch back or something, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go into this, you know, go home zone, whatever it is, and my girl gets up there, and they're like, "Well, you have a chance to now pick him out of the, you know, the go home zone." And she's like, "Yeah, do you want to keep going?" And I'm just like, "You know what? I'm done. I want to go home."
And that was that.
That was that.
Did you watch your season? Like when you got home, did you go back and watch it?
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, it was like a fun party thing every night.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
How did you feel like you came across?
All in all good. I was like an idiot on the show as far as like what I was doing in the wild. Like I was just screwing up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, couldn't you just like get it together for a second out there? It wasn't that hard. But outside of that, I was totally fine with how I came across.
How did your family and friends react to your presence on television? Did you get some crap from your buddies?
Got some crap. You know, I felt that Z-list fame for a few minutes.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you the best story.
Okay.
We're on ESPN. So
Yeah.
This is
Sure.
probably
Yeah.
relevant. But so I caddied in the Tahoe celebrity tournament for a buddy.
Okay.
Well, Darren Williams. So
Oh, D-Will. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Darren was on the range, and Aaron Rodgers comes over. And this is the year I think he won the Super Bowl. And he's talking to Darren. Darren's like, "It's my caddy Steele." And he looks at me and he goes, "Dude, great call on Vanessa. That girl was crazy. I could not believe she was doing this." Like, and he just went off for like 5 minutes. And you know, so we just, whatever. Darren and I he went and teed off,
Yeah.
and we went around, and afterwards he was signing autographs. So I was just standing around, and Aaron, well, I get a tap on my shoulder, and it's Aaron, and he's like, "Hey man, like, do you mind if we get a picture? Like, my girlfriend would love this."
No way.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, like whatever.
So Aaron Rodgers wanted to
He
take a
was
picture with
huge
you.
fan of the show.
That is wild.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was probably the zenith of my Z-list moment.
I've got to say, I respect that you actually did it. Because I had a phone call once to try something similar.
Yeah.
And I immediately said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I would be afraid of like my dear mother watching me on like reality television make an ass out of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I respect that you actually did it.
Yeah. A lot of just ignorance, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't playing good golf. I'm just like, well, I'll go to Costa Rica and do this thing. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? I was single.
Yeah. I respect
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
You know, why not? I you know, you always want to be the guy that will try the thing.
Yeah,
right? You want to be the
now
guy
I
that
can
tries
look back.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool like part of my history. Like
Yeah.
it's like a fun thing that I did.
So what's your relationship with the game of golf now? One of the when we were first like I think it was like the very first hole, you had recommended a book about unexpected surprises. Does that ring a bell? like unexpected, like, and golf is like the ultimate in the unexpected, like you hit a great shot that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
You were kind of articulating just still how much you love the game of golf because of that. And I think you may have alluded to blackjack as well, where like, you know, you've got a big hand and suddenly you get a 21. You get, so I don't remember what the book was, but you were kind of articulating just how much you still enjoy the game. What's your relationship with it now?
Yeah, I just, it's such an incredible game. It like I said, it always holds up a mirror. Like, you know what's going on internally based on how you're reacting to things. And even though I've made a lot of progress, like I still get angry, like I still get super competitive sometimes, not nearly as much as I used to, but it lets you know where you're at in life.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then on the physical side of things, like I feel like I'm still learning so much. And nothing is as stimulating as golf.
Yeah.
When it comes to sports, like skiing, obviously I grew up ski racing. I find skiing to be so boring. Unless it's like, and for me to like push that, I'd like risk my life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like huck bigger things. Like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It gets in the way of golf.
Right. Right. So you gave up your pro status and now you're, so what are you hoping to accomplish with what you're kind of doing now? Do you want to play in more U.S. amateurs? Are you trying, like, what are some of the goals now?
Yeah, the honest answer is I grapple with that question.
Okay.
Like, what am I really doing here?
Yeah.
Because it's different when you're playing for a living or you're in college and you're trying to just build a career.
Right.
And now I have a career. I have a good life outside of golf. Like, what am I doing? And I have these moments. Like, I just played in the North-South in Pinehurst. It's just a good amateur tournament. And you know, they cut down to 32 for match play, and I made match play, and you know, it's like 102, and it's like 102 and 80% humidity at Pinehurst, and I had a great match with this guy in my first match. I ended up losing on 18, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm not that motivated to go play 3 more days in this heat. Like, I'm not like like. I've played well. Like I'm kind of good. Like I could go either way at this point.
Interesting.
You know, so, but it's kind of nice because now I can go and like my results don't define my experience. Like I just played in the USAM. I wouldn't say I played great by any means. But I still walk away from there feeling like that was awesome. Like, not like, I can't believe I played like that. Like, I honestly haven't even thought about how I played since I walked off the 18th green. Yeah. Like it was just such a cool experience. And so to have that perspective now and be able to like appreciate what's happening here, like the USAM, they raised $4.5 million to put that tournament on. Okay. Yeah. There's 1,200 volunteers. Like it is a production. Yeah. So much goes into making that happen.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
As far, I mean, like I said, I'm still kind of newish to this whole ecosystem. I get the appeal. I wish I was addicted as a kid because no matter how much I play now, I'm never going to catch up to the guys that started playing when they were young.
Dude, it's tough.
Yeah.
Like there's something in it when you're a kid, like just takes you kind of to a different level.
Do you watch golf at all?
Yeah.
You watch tournaments? You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like, yeah, for sure.
What stands out? I'll set you loose here, but what stands out? Like, you know, watching Scotty lap the field, the best golfers in the world, and he beats them by 8 strokes over the weekend. When you see a guy that is on like a historic type 5-year run, what's different about that level? What stands out to you?
To the right a little bit. Okay, when you're putting, if your head's tilted to the right, you see line differently. And that stuff is happening throughout your whole body. Your whole body's changing all the time. Yeah. So one day straight could actually be a little bit, what you feel like is straight is actually right because of what's going on in your neck. And so it's hard to consistently play really, really high level golf. It's such an art because you're not just like trying to keep your body in the right place. Yeah. But you're also adapting to what you actually have because you can't keep your body in the right place all the time. Yeah. You know, you're going like, hey, I've got like a snap hook today. Like I got to figure out how to play that. Yeah. And it's like such an art to just gauge where you're at physically and mentally like, and then make decisions according to that.
See, stuff like that blows my mind because the more I learn about it, and I've got a coach, I'm taking lessons, I got new clubs. The more I learn about it, the more I'm like, wait, I have to keep that in mind too? Like, and then he tells me when you go out and play, don't think about any of this, but the real work comes in when you're not playing, right? Like that's when the real work actually comes in.
It really does.
Yeah.
And I think stuff can go wrong so easily. Like you said, with the little, his chip that like hit a sprinkler head and this and that. And you look at like these, like the USAM, there's definitely some luck out there.
Sure.
Like that, you get a bad lie in the rough. Like you're looking at double.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens quick.
Yeah.
Like you can even hit great shots that end up in just barely in the rough, which at Marion, those fairways are canted like crazy.
Huh.
So like they're really a lot narrower. They're already narrow, and then they're even more narrow because they're all tilted.
Yeah.
You get a great drive, end up in the rough, get a terrible lie, and then the next guy hits the same drive, gets a great lie. He's going for the green, and you're just trying to get it back to the fairway.
Yeah.
It's the consistency is off the charts impressive.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I've been wanting to do this ever since I met you last year. I found you to be a very fascinating guy with a great story. And so thanks for your time today and love to do it again. Okay.
Great to catch up, pal.
All right. Steele DeWalt. I'm going to call him a golfing legend in our community. He's going to laugh at
least
that.
to my mom.
There we go. 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. Morgan Scally coming up next on ESPN 700. Camp Scally rolls on up on the hill. Utah football fall camp in preparation for the season opener, which is just over 2 weeks away. Idaho will be in town to take on the Utes coming up on Thursday, September the 3rd. That is a 7 o'clock kickoff time. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3 o'clock with that guy, Porter Larson. And then, of course, the voice of the Utes, Bill O'Reilly, will have the call for you. The television coverage is ESPNU. So we've got a lot to get to prior to the start of the season as the Morgan Scally era will officially begin. So we had Steele DeWalt live in the studio a little bit earlier. Pretty fascinating guy, pretty incredible journey. And Porter, maybe you're familiar, Love in the Wild, the reality television program that Steele was on back when he was 25 years old. Are you familiar with Love in the Wild at all?
I kind of think I remember that, but it might have been one of the other, like, how many of these shows have we done now, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know that I tuned into that one specifically or any of the others, to be clear. But it sounds like a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, I did not want to insult our guest because Steele's great and a really, really cool journey. I don't watch these shows. I've never even watched Survivor. I've never watched an episode of The Bachelor. What sort of contestant do you think you would be if you were tabbed? Okay, so the format here is it was 10 girls and 10 guys in the jungle in Costa Rica, and they had to do challenges in the jungle. And then if you won a challenge, you could continue on. But if you were in the lower tier, one of the winners had to pick you as their partner to continue on this journey. It looks like they were in very, very close quarters. So 10 guys, 10 girls, you're living together. I don't know that I could do it, man. I'm not going to lie. I think I'd be the wrong guy for this.
No, I would not be the guy for I don't think reality TV in general, but especially along those lines where there is some contrived stuff there. I don't think I could fake it very well. I don't necessarily... with people I don't have a good rapport with already, don't necessarily jive with all that well. I'm not a man of the people, as Spence Checketts is.
Yeah, that's well said. No, that's well said. I certainly am a man of the people.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'd do well. Now, the ones out in the wild, like I got a little leg up there, but I probably would just focus on that stuff, right? And then forget that we're trying to do the Bachelor thing or whatever. Are you familiar with Tim Robinson?
Tim Robinson?
Kind of a skit comedy guy?
Oh, yeah, the guy in the hot dog suit. Yeah, I know Tim Robinson.
There's a skit he does where he's on one of these shows, right?
Okay.
And he just keeps going on a zip line that they have like at this house.
Okay.
And it's just over and over. He just does the zip line the whole show, the whole time. And at the point of elimination or whatever, they're like, we think we're gonna eliminate you. We think you're just here for the zip line. And he's just, what? He couldn't believe it. That's more along the lines of what I would be doing. I'm sure on one of those.
Yeah, I mean, most of the guys seem like, and I apologize if Steele's tuned in. Most of the guys seem like they'd be really hard to get along with.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't care. I'd be like, I'm not really into this. I think I'm just going to go home. I had an opportunity to try out for one of these shows back in like 2008. And all I could think about is my poor mother, like watching me embarrass myself on like national television. So I instantly shut it down.
That's the other part. They seem to encourage you to do things that let down your inhibitions on those shows.
Yeah.
Might get a little loose. I'm sober for a reason.
And I'm proud of you for that. Is there like a cowboy love for cowboy reality program?
There used to be.
There's an app, right? Oh no, that's farmersonly.com.
No, I think it was basically, and probably was sponsored by that. It was that was a show at one point.
Because I'm thinking maybe you could, ride a horse bareback or something, or throw a rope around a steer.
It's called Farmer Wants a Wife.
Farmer Wants a Wife. We're getting you on Farmer Wants a Wife. Where's it?
I got to start a farm first.
Where's it shot? Where's the filming location of Farmer Wants a Wife? Because I think you would excel in this format.
In Missouri, Alabama. I think they go on site.
Well, at some point they have to land in Utah, I would imagine.
Yeah, you think.
Plenty of farmers here, right? So anyway, some good stuff from Steele today. For you reality television honks, you might remember him from his one season on Love in the Wild, where unfortunately Steele did not find love. His partner trajectory was Vanessa. Kim back to Vanessa. There were 2 Ericas. He dated both. And then his final selection, which he told us was forced upon him, was one of the Ericas. And that's what led him to having to go home.
That's the other part. Like, a lot of what you see on reality TV show is not real. And I struggle with that part. Like, faking it on camera might not be my strong suit, I don't think. So well, yeah, that would be an issue as well.
Well, and that was pretty devious that a producer pulled him in and said, "We have you on camera talking smack about this one guy, and if you don't pick this other girl, we're actually going to reveal that on television."
He should have just let it happen.
Well, sounds like a nice guy. All right, I know what you guys want. You want some Morgan Scally sound. We are going to continue to make sure everything is posted on the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. As we are high speed ahead to game day. We've been teasing this all day, though. So every Monday, Morgan addresses the media, and here's what he had to say today.
Good. You're getting into the kind of the dog days of fall camp. You know, it's easy to have energy on day one, easy to be excited on day one. It's having that same energy throughout. Really good practice today, competitive. We're becoming better, situational mechanics, and it's good that it's competitive right now, that you don't have one side dominating the other. And I think the coaches are doing a good job of keeping our guys fresh, but understanding we got to be physical.
Coach, offensive line was a big priority coming into camp. Do you feel like you've got this down to 2 or 3 combinations you feel good about?
Not yet. We're still a couple bumps and bruises that shifts things around, but we'll have our dudes by game 1.
Where does Obot fit into that?
He's looking really good, but he understands the stuff he needs to work on, and no spots are solidified right now.
You guys had a scrimmage on Saturday. What stood out from that first scrimmage?
I would say the play of Matiaki Helu showed up in a big way. Lance Holtzclaw off the edge, making a bunch of plays. Receivers downfield. So there's a lot of good stuff. I thought the situational mechanics, like I said, that's one thing that, at the beginning of camp, not clean enough, not fast enough, but much better. I'd say red zone work, kind of a mixed bag. We need to be more efficient, not enough touchdowns in the red zone, too many field goals. Having said that, the kicking game's really good. Kicking game is really good. Love our 2 kickers. And obviously Orion's been established as a punter, but both Dylan and Tanner are doing a nice job.
Morgan, obviously the offensive line has been a question mark for you guys. Just what else do you want to see out of them as fall camp progresses?
I would say I think we've gotten to the point where we're physical enough. The pre-snap penalties are being cut down. Just continued progress. There's not one glaring thing where I'm sitting there saying, like, we're deficient here. It's just maybe a little bit cleaner in the things that we're doing, from protection to taking on slanters. So, and they've got, one of the best teachers I know in Jordan Gross. So, I'm excited for that group and what they're going to show that first game.
How does the defense look right now?
Defense looks good. We're solidifying that, the D tackle spot. Same thing on offense. You get these bumps and bruises, guys, having to be out of practice for 2. So still, that's up for grabs as well. Getting Carson Kafusi back and, mixing in some guys. So that's unsettled right now.
Are you still exploring bringing back in the Kawhi Rogers or any other class of 22 guys, or do you feel like this roster's set?
We feel pretty good right now.
This time last week, you talked about tensions being kind of high between the offense and the defense, and maybe even wanting to cool down a little bit. What is the process like, and how neat is it to watch a team become a team when they stop competing with each other and start, jumping on the same page?
Oh, I think we have it now, and I wouldn't say, you have to be competitive without being combative. It's the stuff that's going to get you penalized, the extra shoves and stuff like that, and so there is a fine line, but our guys do a really good job of making sure that we don't take it to that next level where all of a sudden there's stupid penalties, and I would say it's really not an issue, and this is a very close team. I'm excited.
Morgan, it seems like you made a pretty intentional effort to invite former players back into the program, have them watch practice. Why is that important for you?
Why is it important to have alumni around? Well, man, they bled and sweat, and they love this program, and they want to know that there's a legacy there. That our current players didn't build this building, and our current players are building their own legacy. So there's a lot of guys, a lot of passion for this program. The way it's been run, the family atmosphere, they need to know that continues.
You talked about, obviously, the offensive and defensive line. There's still positions up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
How about the depth and your pecking order at wide receiver, corner, some of those other positions?
Just lovely. We got good ones. I'm not going to tell you what that depth is, but we got good depth, and you do your fantasy draft or whatever. That we got really good ones. I'm excited for that group both, and that's another group that traditionally they're sitting there in their fights every day with the wide receivers and DBs. They do a really good job of pushing each other, but knowing that we got to get to the party healthy. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, Porter, herein lies the question. Because, as Morgan said, he's not going to reveal, and all of these coaches handle these things differently. I think there's a lot of similarities in kind of some clandestine messaging that Morgan is continuing as far as the way Witt elected to go about. We'll see what the injury – I'm excited for the first injury report of the year to see if we're going to continue to get trolled. The question comes down to this. Do you think he knows who his 5 offensive linemen are?
I think the O-line might still be one where they're shuffling. Part of that has to do with guys getting banged up a little bit during camp. That and the D-line, like I do think along the trenches, part one, because there's so many new guys, there's transfers, there's freshmen, there's all of the above, and part two, because they're going to play multiple different pairings anyway. I do think that there's probably at least a little room for jockeying along those lines. But outside of that, I think Utah's probably pretty set. I will say that ending to that interview there, that sounded a lot like Kyle. Even then, though, Kyle, I don't know, was ever declining to talk about the depth chart in that way, right? He very much stiff-armed that question. I was interested to hear that.
The last response?
Just like, I'm not going to tell you anything about our wide receiver depth or our corner. Like, if you'll figure that out.
Okay, so I've always believed that to be a little bit of an unnecessary way to approach this stuff. And as I said, like, every coach handles it a little bit differently. The last thing you want to do is to tip your hand. I will once again kind of reference back to the meeting we had with Morgan in the football building, prior, that was like during spring ball. And he gave a very, very intelligent, understandable line of reasoning for why he's elected to not allow media to observe practice. And then, why as a head coach in this modern day and age of college football, you want to be careful about tipping your hand and such. But you can allude to the guys that are doing a good job, and you can say names out loud. Like, the head coach of Idaho is not going to change schematically if he finds out that Morgan likes Brandon Pagan. Like, you can say the names out loud. I've always found that to be a little bit, I don't know if it's you're overly worried. I don't know if it's a little bit of a, you're just terrified to give the other guy even a little bit of advantage. But I don't know. I feel like there's a way to handle it where you can actually say names out loud.
And I'm sure Morgan will, kind of find his way in those situations, right? I'm sure it's not what we're going to get all the time. But I kind of get it going into camp. Like, you'll see week 1. We'll get there. Go to Ute Zone for that. Or here's the other part. Maybe Morgan not publicly talking about certain names is motivation for guys in that room that aren't playing up to par. That's another part where if you ever heard Kyle mention a kid by name in one of those camp settings and he's being effusive with praise, there's a reason for it, right? If you don't give them a reason for it, they may not say your name out loud as much. And there's a part of this that's, NIL and otherwise connected. I'm probably with you though. Like, knowing a few of the names is not going to change anything with the game plans, but we also kind of know most of those names. It's Brandon Pagan. It's Creed Whittemore. It's Kyrie Scholes. We'll go from there.
Larry Simmons. Yeah. At times, Kyle just came across as like paranoid.
Oh yeah. If there was a helicopter, if there was life flight flying over the practice field, Kyle was like, "Is that Kalani? Who's that?"
Is Deion Sanders flying his helicopter over Rice-Eccles Stadium right now?
Yeah, definitely part of that. And I'm sure now, being at Michigan, who was the center of the college football world for like Intel scandal, saga, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not going away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and this goes back to the Harbaugh stuff. I mean, he won a national championship, but ultimately show cause probation. He got gone and went to the NFL. It's interesting to consider. We were talking to Dan about this earlier. I do, and you were up there today. You've been up there a number of times. I do get a sense of a calmer type fall camp. I mean, over the past 5 or 6 years, there was always something. It was, is Cameron Rising healthy? Is Brant Keithy healthy? Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is this Witt's last year? Is Morgan getting antsy? There always seemed to be some sort of underlying, I'll call it like a dramatic emotional storyline. And while I'm not one to be like, hey guys, the vibes are high again, it does feel like there's like a calm presence. There's like the water seemed calm. We haven't heard of injuries. We haven't heard of suspensions. We haven't heard of players getting kicked out of practice. We haven't heard of players fighting with each other. We haven't heard really much of anything other than what appears to be somewhat of a unified group. And I'm telling you, I think BYU is going to be really good this year. I don't think any of this noise is really going to permeate in the locker room. I think Kalani's probably very good at that. But what you don't want is 2 weeks prior to your first game, national outlets and every single person that has a microphone covering the ecosystem of college football in our state discussing this battle between the head coach and the athletic director. Like, if that's your deal, you handle it in April.
Or December.
Well, again, another dramatic storyline. Like, that's why I started the show off. I want to be clear. I'm not like force-feeding this Kalani, Brian Santiago thing. I'm not just bringing it up to bring it up because I think it's only fair to talk about everything that was happening up here last year. Yeah. And it wasn't just December. It was, look, the truth is we don't know how long it was going on. I think the emails revealed that it's fair to say Mark and Kyle were not going to play golf together. They were not having lunch together. They were not, and which is fine. I'm not one that believes you have to get along with every single one of your coworkers to do a good job. But you don't want this to happen 2 weeks before your first game. And right. I think if you're a Ute fan, you should at least feel good that it doesn't appear to be very dramatic up there right now.
Well, and you don't want it to happen publicly is the big thing. Kalani, as you mentioned, is pretty good about keeping these things behind closed doors. How it kind of got out, or, of course, Kalani's interview that I think actually happened a few weeks before this started to become a real story. usually is the case that, these negotiations, this type of thing does happen behind closed doors, and you do have to file records requests to find out about them. And for it to be happening somewhat publicly and in media scrums 2 weeks before the season is, as you mentioned, just not the venue you want to be figuring those things out in. And the timing. The timing's a big one, where you're playing football in just a few weeks. I'm with you. I think Kalani is able to keep that separate from what he's got going on in his locker room, because he does have a really good roster, really good football team coming in 2026. But that kind of remains to be seen, because the reality of the situation is that the promises that allegedly were made to Kalani and maybe have not been fulfilled probably have impacts on players and assistants and guys in the room. From what we understand, Kalani got his, right? It's some ancillary stuff about the program and whatnot that maybe he's still wanting. And I find that interesting, because that may be the reason that it kind of seeps beyond just the AD office.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think needs to be talked about here, with the caveat of not knowing exactly what Kalani's referring to, with the caveat of how much control does Brian Santiago have over any of this? Is it the president of the school? Is it Board of Regents? Is it donors? Is it boosters? Is it the church that owns BYU and runs BYU? Brian Santiago inherited an unbelievable job with an athletic department right now that appeared to be in such a great position. A basketball team that just had the number one pick in the draft. They've got another really good team coming in. Powerful, very rich boosters willing to back basketball. And then what we all thought and just kind of assumed, and according to Gordon Monson's piece in the Trib today, if basketball's getting it, football's got to get it. Right. And that's not just a BYU thing. If your basketball team is well funded, it's almost like malfeasance to not make sure your football team has the same thing. And this is almost like, no matter who you are, maybe outside of Duke, even Carolina, they invest in their football team. It hasn't gone great, but that's a basketball school. There are very few member institutions across the P4 landscape where basketball is where you're going to allocate the majority of your resources. You have to allocate some, and I'm hoping that Alex Jensen is getting the support he needs, because while it wasn't great last year for Utah basketball, it's got to be better this year than it was a year ago. There's got to be some, I don't want to say just don't finish last, but don't finish last. Show some sort of growth on the basketball side of things, but you're not going to do that unless you have the resources you need. I'll bottom line this. I have a really hard time believing that BYU is allocating a ton of resources to basketball and not enough to football. They're smart people. They understand it. If that's the deal, that's really, really short-sighted. Now, a lot of people believe Brian was able to get that job because he is golf buddies with Danny Ainge and Ryan Smith. I mean, he's buddies with them. He calls Danny Ainge Angel. That's his nickname for Danny, so we can leave that there. But even if you're buddies with those guys, you still have to take care of your football program. BYU football is a massive deal to that institution.
Well, and college football runs the day as far as your athletic department goes, right? So I think that Brian Santiago has to know that and does know that. But as you mentioned, when he inherited a really good job, part of that is timing, and part of that is because Tom Homo was really good at his job. There is still a very unique challenge about working in athletics at Brigham Young University, right? A school that does have other motivations and other focuses, and it's something that if you do get sideways, it can go really sideways, and then you don't have as many options maybe to fill a seat when you're limited in a hiring role or otherwise. So yes, he inherited a really good job, but it's still a job that has a lot of quirks and unique obstacles if you're sitting in that seat. And I would say it's fair to say maybe a rocky start in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think BYU fans may have been spoiled. Tom Homo did a remarkable job during his tenure as athletic director, including a really challenging foray into independence that a lot of people thought was going to crash and burn for them. And it almost did, quite frankly, but Tom was able to keep them going with a good TV deal with ESPN. He made good hires. The basketball program and the football program appeared to be in a really, really good place. And if Brian Santiago's, if he's really, really trying to execute some sort of power play with Kalani, he's going to lose. Especially if Kalani just got that deal, and especially if the people in administration with the church want Kalani as the football coach. Anyway, we'll catch a break. Before we do, I want to tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health. I was in Game Day Men's Health last week because I go in every 3 months for blood work because that's part of their program. And this month I've been working with them for 3 years. And I'll just tell you my experience, and then you decide if you're interested in that. They were able to help me get into the best shape of my life over the course of about 3 months. But most importantly, I've maintained it over the course of 3 years because I follow their protocol. They can do the same for you. If you take advantage of the free consultation, first of all, that's the one thing you should absolutely should do, okay? Because that is free. It doesn't take a lot of time. And they're going to take some blood. They're going to go over your levels with you. And then they're going to recommend some things that might help you get better energy or get your libido back or lose some weight or lose a lot of weight if you're in that spot. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Schedule that free consultation. There's one in Cottonwood Heights. There's one in Bountiful. They're both right off the freeway. Then go in there, get that consultation. And if you decide to sign up, the best part is the discount because it's a real one. It's half off, 50%. It makes these products affordable in a way that they never have been before. They're usually for celebrities or athletes or people with a lot of money. It's the very same deal they give me, 50% off if you decide to sign up with our good friends at Game Day Men's Health. So go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, we'll catch a break. RSL with a point over the weekend, a midweek clash against Dallas, a Saturday road trip to Orlando. Lucas Engel will join us coming up right here on ESPN 700. To some Utah football conversation in the 5 o'clock hour. Camp Scally rolls along up on the hill. We are about 2 weeks and change away from game day. Idaho will be in town to take on the Utes on Thursday, September the 3rd. Coming up on Wednesday, RSL will do battle with Dallas after grabbing a point over the weekend against Minnesota. Our next guest is one of the new players this year, center back for the club, Lucas Engel, on a Monday afternoon. Lucas, happy Monday, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. I appreciate the time today, and I just wanted to start with, now that you've been on the ground here for a while, your experience with the club and how you're kind of liking living in our state.
Yeah, man, it's been great. It's been great so far. Obviously, I'm spending a lot of time with my teammates and in the club, and it's been a pleasure so far. Obviously, we've had some success on the field as well, which always makes it even better. So until now, it's been fantastic, really.
So, question for you: what did you know? I mean, you were with FC Cincinnati for a while, so you've lived in our country for a little bit. But what did you know about Utah and Salt Lake before you moved here, and what have you learned since you've been here?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Before I came to the States in Cincinnati first, I did not know much about Utah. Obviously, played away here last season. And I had a good teammate in Cincinnati as well, DeAndre Yetlin, that I called before joining Salt Lake. So, I mean, I didn't know much, but my experience so far has been wonderful.
So you played for Cincinnati, and no goals in 50 games in MLS, but 2 in the last 5. What's going on, man? You're finding the back of the net.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm asking myself the same question. No, it's been nice to score a few goals. Hopefully that's just the beginning. But yeah, it's a bit unusual, but I'm happy to help the team.
So tell me about your experience playing for Pablo now, and curious, what insight you can share about just the kind of coach he is and what that locker room is like right now.
Yeah, I mean, even from my first meeting before joining, when I had a little talk with Pablo, I could tell already then that he's a great human being. He's a great dude, man. He's a good leader for the changing room. I think everyone will say the same thing. He's a top guy, a good person, and I think he's kind of one of the reasons why the whole team and the group is getting along so well too. So yeah, I got nothing but praise for Pablo.
So a recent piece of news, of course, came down, and I understand why $15 million is a fee that you have to say yes to for Xavier Gozo. I also am bummed that RSL is losing one of their real key attacking pieces and a bright young player that's from our state. But you've spent a good portion of your career over at Middlesbrough, and of course, he's now going to be playing in the Premier League, the EPL. So your thoughts on losing the teammate, and then your thoughts on the challenges that lie ahead for Gozo?
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's obviously sad for the group and for the team, for the club, that we're losing such a good player. On the other hand, I think myself and all the other guys in the locker room is very, very happy for Gozo. It's the best league in the world, and he's going there now to challenge himself, to experience something, I think, completely new to what he's done so far in his career. So I think he's going to just keep being himself, doing what he's been doing for us for a long period. And I think he's going to do really well. And I know all the guys in the locker room is very excited for him and really, really happy for him.
What sort of challenge is he in for? You know, a guy that knows playing over there in that ecosystem and a guy that's watched Gozo this year. I mean, this is a different level. Do you have confidence that he's going to be able to go and acclimate right away, or do you think it's going to be a bit of a process for him?
I mean, I think Gozo is a really talented player, which always helps, but he also got a really, really strong personality. He's obviously young, but he's willing to learn. He's willing to adapt. And I mean, for what I've seen, I think he's going to fit in really well over there. If he keeps doing what he's been doing, obviously staying true to himself, going over there and playing with the confidence that he's been playing with here, I can't see why it shouldn't be a huge success for him. But yeah, obviously it's new for him. He's been here his whole career, close to friends, family. So it's definitely, it's a new challenge for him. But I think I can see why it won't go well for him.
Between your time at FC Cincinnati and now here at RSL, as you compare MLS to the other leagues you played in, the Danish Superliga, Danish First Division, and of course the Championship over in England, how does the competition over here stack up to the other places you played?
I mean, what most people will see here is the talent that there is within this league. Not only Europeans or DPs being signed from abroad, but also homegrown players like Gozo himself. There's a lot of good players in this league. Obviously, in England, we play a lot of games, especially in the Championship. You play 46 games, I think, in a season. And it's tearing on your body, on your mind. Where here it's the travel, and that's the hardest part for me. It's a long distance to every away game, which is for me the biggest difference. But I mean, everywhere I've been, especially abroad from Denmark, I've seen some great talent, and in the MLS, I think you see it on a weekly basis, the talent and the amount of good players that's balling out every week.
Growing up in Denmark, curious to hear about your childhood, your soccer origin story, when a ball was put at your feet and when you decided that this was something you wanted to do with your life.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've kicked the ball for as long as I can remember, really. But also, maybe we are a little different back home in Denmark. We're a small country. It was never really a goal for me to do professional soccer. It was always a dream. It's always something that I had fun with. But I didn't really took it seriously, if I can say it so, until my late teenage years when I signed my first part-time pro contract. Before that, I was really all about playing with my friends and having fun. So I think my story is a little different from most people. But I think it also shows that there are several ways to become a professional soccer player. And I'm really happy with the one I've took, because I think if I was in an academy from a young age, I probably wouldn't have made it to this point. I probably would have been tired of it, if I'm being honest. So yeah, my story is a little different. I never played professional or at a high level until my late teens, which is a little uncommon, but yeah, I mean, that's my story.
Interesting. So did you grow up with siblings? Did you grow up with a father that loved the game, or did you just kind of discover it on your own?
I grew up as me and my sister, and my sister's playing as well. She's a few years younger than me. I had friends and family members who were into soccer, and I think probably that was my way into it. My father loves soccer, but he's not a really good soccer player himself, but he loves to watch it, and he loves to support me, obviously.
So I'm sure if you had the answer to this question, you'd be coaching the team, but you're playing. So I'll kind of kick the tires here. You guys have been really dynamite at home across all competitions with 10 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. But it's been a little bit of a slog, Lucas, on the road. Why do you think that is? How do you take this performance away from America First Field?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's the question we're asking ourselves too. I wish I had the answer, because then it would be easier to go away and win more games. But it's definitely something that we need to change if we want to be the team that I believe we can be. And yeah, as you said, at home we've been excellent. It feels almost like a fortress. It feels like we can lose at home, and we got to take that into our away games. I think a lot of games we've been closer to points than we might think after a game, but we need to get some points on the road, and hopefully that starts in Orlando in the weekend.
So wondered what your thoughts are on this Leagues Cup, kind of a new-ish type tournament, and you guys were able to bounce back after that first game where you played pretty well. Penalty kicks are just penalty kicks. You never know what's going to happen. But you smoked the other 2 opponents, and you got the help that you needed to get into the knockout round. So what's this experience been like for you, battling these teams from Liga MX?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great. And, I mean, we talked about it after the first game that obviously, like you said, we lost on the PKs, but 7 points could be enough. And we said, listen, we got to do our part, and then we got to hope for some other teams to help us, and they did. And I think, like every other game, you win in games, it gains confidence within the group. And even though we tied the first one, I thought we played a really, really good game, which obviously gave us confidence going into the next two. And then obviously going through is amazing. And now we're 3 games away from a trophy, which is major, is huge for us. And that's something that we're going to do everything we can to achieve.
So 2 goals allowed in the last 4 games for your side of the ball. I know Pablo likes to ask everybody to defend, and you want to get as many bodies in the box as well. Of course, Rafa Cabral has been brilliant in goal with only momentary lapses of judgment, which I know he owned during that time. But what's clicking, Lucas, for the defense right now?
I think, first of all, I think it's a mentality question. I think everyone has turned it up a notch. Everyone, even on our defensive set pieces, which has been a major point for us during the preseason or the break we had here. And I think we've done really well, apart from the game away at Portland. I think everyone is playing with confidence. And, I mean, if you can play freely and play from your instinct, it usually tends to go better. And I think that's something that everyone has brought in. Whoever's been playing has done a really good job of that. And like we always say, it's a team sport, man. When we score goals, it's everyone. When we defend well, it's everyone. So not only the back line, but every player who's been on the field has put in a major shift and done a really, really good job of protecting our goal.
All right, before I set you loose, after the match against Minnesota, that ended in a 1-1 draw, Pablo pretty adamantly and emotionally made a bit of a plea that you guys need reinforcements. I mean, Gozo is gone. Jay Glad is hurt. Zach, he picked up an injury over the weekend. He was the guy that was being relied upon to maybe step in for Gozo. Are those conversations you're having in the locker room? Like, okay, we understand that you moved Gozo for $15 million, but we need reinforcements if we're going to lift trophies this year.
I mean, everyone knew how big a part Gozo played in our success. But at the same time, as a player, we got our responsibility, and that is to win games, regardless of who's being picked to play. And we can only do that if we're going to bring in players. That would be great. If not, then whoever is here and whoever is being picked to play has to lift that responsibility. So I think whoever is getting picked is ready to go. And the questions about reinforcements, I think that's a question for Kurt. I think he is working hard, I would imagine, and hopefully we'll get what we need, regardless of what's happening. Whoever is in that locker room when the window closes needs to be ready to perform and do well, because regardless of what's happening, we are trying to win a trophy or two.
Well, Lucas, thanks for the time. No matter what position you play, scoring goals is always fun. So congrats on the past couple of goals you've scored, and good luck moving forward. And best, most importantly, stay healthy. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, Lucas Engel, RSL center back, left back. He plays on the back line. He's a new player this year. 2 goals in the past 5 games, 1 in Leagues Cup play, and then 1 in MLS Cup play. RSL is at home coming up on Wednesday for a 7:30 kick against Dallas. The game can be seen on Apple Television. You can go to rsl.com for single-game ticket options and also their new Black Diamond jersey, which is selling very well. Appreciate Lucas's time. Brought to you today by the Utah Advocates. Segment brought to you by the Advocates. If you were injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, call 801-355-5550 or go to utahadvocates.com. You deserve an advocate. 3 hours down, 1 hour to go. Keep it here on ESPN 700. All right, wrapping up the program for today for a Monday afternoon. Tommy John passed away. Oh, it just came down. It's too bad. 83 years old. Of course, it's probably a bummer if you're best known for a surgery that other people have, but obviously a great pitcher back in the day, the namesake of the pioneering surgery that has saved a lot of careers. The Buss family has sold the remaining portion of their ownership of the Lakers to the new group, and this story continues to permeate. Porter, hold on a second. You have not said a word about the NBA not coming down on Steve Ballmer, right? This is like a passion project for you.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to hear word. I think the NBA, or at least one of their board members, released a statement saying that there were inaccuracies with the ESPN thing. So we'll see what this says when it's finalized. But I'll tell you, and this is not just this situation. This is the Ballmer situation on the backdrop of this not being the first Ballmer situation in regards to this. This is with the backdrop of, I don't know, 12 to 20 NBA players being currently involved in gambling situations or federal lawsuits and cases. This is on the backs of being officially partnered with these gambling guys as a league goes. I have a little uneasiness when it's us doing it. When it's the NBA, the National Basketball Association, I think it's completely jumped the shark. So the backdrop of all of that, it will just add to what is a very much changing perspective for me on what the NBA is and what it claims to be. And that's unfortunate because, I don't know, man, I grew up watching like all 82 every night, all the time. And I can't get with a lot of the stuff that Adam Silver does. I think that a lot of it is we're trying new gimmicks for TV ratings in October, but we're not focusing on the really, really big issues that are changing our league. And, yeah, we'll have more on this.
Over the course of this really odd news cycle, including a former Laker owner who is being investigated by the feds, and Tom Dundon, a Dallas private equity bro who couldn't give a rip less about Rip City, didn't even mean to do that. Matt Ishbia and his $3 billion moving dividends because the board of directors for his mortgage company is Matt himself, his brother, his father, and Isaiah Thomas somehow. The saying that keeps ringing in my ear is Jason Kidd. You guys don't get it. We are millionaires cheering for each other. And that's what this league has turned into.
Well, and the commissioner's job, to be clear, is for the owners, right? It's for the ownership, but it's also, if you care about the actual like lifeblood of the league, yes, you're caring for the owners, you're working for those guys, but you're also a backstop to them, right? You are supposed to keep them in check in some form. And it seems like Adam Silver, who coincidentally got his start in the league by essentially ousting a owner who very much had no business owning an NBA team in Donald Sterling, now it appears that the owners have the power over Silver. A very different dynamic from when he got into the league. And I think it's one that's worth keeping an eye on. And yeah, it changes the way that I consume and I guess probably cover the sport.
Yeah, no, it's too bad because it's such a great game. And in so many ways, it should be a league that does not continue to trip over itself. And I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I do think Jazz fans should feel lucky that Ryan is the guy that took over the team when the Millers decided to unload it, because at least he's a Jazz fan with the desire to do good things for our market. You know what I mean? So if you're a Blazer fan right now, if you're a Suns fan, if you're even a Laker fan, just kind of some weird stuff going on. All right, fun show today. A lot going on. Good time of year, Porter. What's coming up on a Tuesday edition of The Drive?
Tuesday edition of the program. Bill Riley stops by, the voice of the Utes. It'll be 16 days away from Utah football. Gordon Monson will stop by the program. Of course, we'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some football. We'll go all over the map with Gordo. We'll get some Ute sound from up at practice. We have potentially a viewing period even tomorrow up on the hill.
Calm down.
And we'll talk to some defensive players and coaches as well, so we have sound from that. And then I believe you have teed up something for tomorrow too.
Featuring one of the best college football writers in America, Christopher Comrani, making his triumphant return to the program because our guy is currently on father duty, but we'll hear from CK tomorrow as well.
Love that.
All right, I want to let you know you can help Utah kids start school with confidence. Over 200 kids at the Road Home need your help with back-to-school clothes, shoes, backpacks, and more. ESPN 700 invites you to be a child's advocate. Visit ESPN700sports.com or AppleTreeForKids.com for more information and to donate now. Special thank you today to Dan Sorensen, Steele DeWalt, Morgan Scally, Lucas Engel. If you miss any of the sound, ESPN700sports.com has you taken care of. Download the mobile app and take us on the go. Then finally, for what we do in our space every afternoon for 4 full hours, check out the podcast page. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. It's available wherever you get your shows. Reporter, I'm Spence saying good night. Have a great Monday evening. We'll talk to you on a Tuesday edition of The Drive. And as always, you can catch it right